Hello, my name is Adolfo and this is Life Adolfo. Today I'm going to talk about the fights that just happened. Tszyu versus Fundora and Romero versus Pitbull Cruz. And one of the things that I want to cover before I start talking of the fights is that Tszyu had a choice on who to fight. He could have fought Fundora or he could have fought Lara. Lara, 40 years old. But I feel that he picked Fundora not only because of the difficulty fighting Fundora, but at the same time, he was letting Sarafa, the fighter that was supposed to fight Lara, that fought Lara, maintain that fight on the undercard since he's also from Australia. And there was rumors that Sarafa wanted to fight in the future Tszyu. Now, when it comes to what backfired on that, there's two things that backfired. Number one, Sarafa lost in the second round versus Lara. Lara got a combo and dropped him. Once he stood up, he wasn't all there. He was stumbling, and the referee stopped it. As for the second thing that backfired, Tszyu lost. Now, about his loss, when they were reading the undercard, the judges' scorecard, I was kind of worried. I did have Fundora winning. On my predictions, I couldn't predict who was going to win since Fundora fights out of the valley that I'm from, Coachella Valley. I'm from the Coachella Valley, and I didn't want to be biased. Since I was going to be biased, I was going to lead towards Fundora. But I did mention that there was a couple things that Tszyu, he was counting his chickens before his eggs hatched. He was already thinking of Errol Spence. He was already thinking about Crawford. And I'm not sure if he was thinking of Sarafa as a backup plan, but he was already thinking ahead. And I know that he took this fight 10, 11, 12-day notice, but at the same time, Fundora also did the same. But at the same time, Tszyu is the champion, the person that he had to pick who. When it comes to the fight, when it came to the judges' scorecard, once they announced the first one, so it was a split decision, they said 116, 112 Tszyu. I was kind of worried because I did not see Tszyu winning so many rounds. There were a lot of close rounds, but Fundora was dominating with a jab. The other two judges scored it for Fundora 116, 112, and 115 for 113 for him to win. Errol Spence did get up on the match after the fight, and they told him if he wanted to fight the Fundora, since he's the champion, he was calling out whoever wins the fight. But I believe Tszyu has a mandatory challenge, a clause to fight. I'm not sure if he does, but they were saying that on PVC. Basically, if Tszyu lost, there's a clause of a rematch. Now, if Fundora would have lost, there was no rematch clause. As for the fight, I don't blame if people were rooting for Tszyu or predicting Tszyu, since there was a elbow to the head that probably changed course of the fight. I believe it happened on the second round. It happened on the second round, right before the round ended. And Fundora, his nose was cut at that time, since Tszyu already had like 9 solid shots at his face, basically at his nose, and he was constantly bleeding. It kind of slowed down at the 8th, I would say 8th through 10th round. It kind of slowed down, but it was still dripping. As for the elbow to the head, the blood didn't stop running. It just kept on going. And one thing that, if you're looking at the boxer's view, that you have to give credit to Fundora is the jab. And not only the jab, is that the jab kept on making it bleed. In my view, that jab was helping it constantly keep on bleeding. In addition, it was still bleeding. Now, after the fight, when they, cleared up everything, it stopped bleeding. So I believe that the jab actually helped Fundora maintain that blood, because the blood was covering his eye view, and probably his sight wasn't that great on the side that the cut was at his head. Now, one thing that Errol Spence did cover, once they talked to him about Fundora, he did give credit to Fundora that he actually is now using his strength, meaning his jab, because most most, if not all the fight, the jab was there. And there was one specific round, I believe it was between 8 and 10, that Fundora, you could see he was moving forward. And when he was moving forward, I felt like he was already, in my mind, he felt like he was already winning that fight. Tszyu did great for me. And if there's a rematch clause, I think he should do it. Since Fundora is already 8-0 versus undefeated boxers, Tszyu is 3-1 now against southpaws. Those are just key facts that I listened to the TV while they were talking about. And there was a couple of close rounds. 10th round, Tim was actually more active. And the last round was I kind of felt like Tszyu knew that he was behind since he was very aggressive. He was already going and aiming for the knockout. I know they probably said on the corner, they were talking about that they predicted there was going to be a knockout or they're going to be finished before the 12th round bout. And I'm not sure if they took that as an aggression or whatever the case might be. But even with the aggression, Fundora kept on punching, kept on jabbing. Sometimes he used his left, since his jab was with his right hand. His left, the southpaw, he was just waiting for the right timing to use it. As for the Rolly Romero and Pitbull Cruz, it's the judges' scorecard right before or after the finish. According to PBC, one of them had it for Rolly Romero, the other two for Isaac Cruz. I did not see Rolly Romero leading on the scorecards, especially on the first round. He got wobbled. He got wobbled big time. He barely survived that round. Pitbull Cruz haymaker was solid. He was so fast on the first round. Then it slowed down by the third round. There was an excessive holding. I believe it was in the 5th round that they deducted a point on Rolly Romero. And that right there probably caused Rolly Romero to now fight on a cleaner fight that caused the fight to be stopped, since he was already wobbling big time. And by that time, on the 8th round, when that happened, he wobbled him, and Pitbull Cruz, the referee, told him to wrap his hand again. And you could actually hear the referee saying, "You better hurry up. You're giving him recovery time." By that time, as soon as he went in, second or third punch, that's when there was a flurry of combinations that the referee stepped in and stopped it. There was no chance Rolly Romero was going to recover from that. As a matter of fact, the previous round, when he was wobbled, the referee went to the doctor and pulled out Rolly Romero aside, and you could kind of see him like he wanted to stop the fight, and he was just going to give him an opportunity, and after that, he was going to stop it. After that, the fight got stopped. Pitbull won. They told him, who do you want to fight next? He said, whoever. He already has a bout. He did mention Devin Haney and Teofimo, but he was just mentioning the other champions. He did not mention Matias. I didn't hear him, but he's the other champion. Now that I finished with the recap, I think that Fundora still needs more polishing on that jab now that he is using it as an arsenal. I don't think he has a good chance with Crawford. With Errol Spence, he probably does, since Errol Spence is like a 1-2, 2-2 type of boxer. It's going to be a good fight. But I believe that Errol Spence in the first couple of rounds, he's going to use his aggression, his power. As for Pitbull Cruz, I think he should fight Barbosa. I think he should just wait for Teofimo. I think he's a harder opponent. Matias is the hardest out of all of them. And Devin Haney, even though he's like the most elusive and everything, I believe that will give him a good fight, since on this fight, you could see that Rolly Romero was moving and Pitbull was more patient. He was patient, following, swinging, but he was throwing a lot of haymakers. He needs to focus on a jab. He did use it on one round right away. And another thing about the difference between Fundora and Rolly Romero is that Fundora, I thought he was listening to his corner. Well, Rolly Romero, after he got wobbled, I don't blame him as well. Since he got wobbled, your mind is not there. He was not paying attention to his corner while they were telling him what to do. And that's about it. Hopefully you like my video. Thank you for watching.